Once upon a time, there was a beautiful castle in a land far away. In this magnificent castle, there lived the most beautiful queen. The queen only had one wish to be happy, and that was to have a beautiful baby girl. One day, the wish of the good-hearted queen came true. She had a beautiful baby girl. They named this beautiful girl Snow White. The years went by quickly, but their happiness did not last long. The good-hearted queen had become ill, and soon after passed away. After a while, the king aged and had become extremely weak, so he remarried another woman. The new queen was beautiful alright, but she had an evil heart. The queen would look into her magic mirror and ask this question.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
No one, your highness. You are the most beautiful one.
And the queen would be very happy with the answer. With the arrival of the evil queen, everything in the castle started to change. Because of her evil doings, the kingdom faced many troubles. So, to fix the troubles, the king had to go away from the castle. Years went by fast, and Snow White grew up to be a beautiful young girl. One day, the queen was in front of her magic mirror.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
We answer, but on you, my dear queen. Snow White is the most beautiful one.
The queen was furious when she heard the magic mirror answer. She immediately called in her favorite hunter and gave a horrible order.
You will take Snow White into the woods and bring me her heart.
The hunter took Snow White deep into the woods. He had to do what he was told by the queen. But seeing Snow White, pure heart, full of goodness, the hunter could not do her any harm. He warned her not to go back to the castle ever again. At the sunset, he left her in the woods and hid back to the castle. Snow White was very afraid in the dark woods all alone. She sat under a tree and started crying. Until at last she fell asleep. In the morning, Snow White woke up with birds chirping and many tiny animal friends surrounded her. Because these animals knew who she was and loved their princess, they showed the way to Snow White. They brought her to their home, which was cute and as tiny as them. A little hesitant Snow White opened the door. Everything inside the house was very small and extremely messy, so she decided to tidy up.
Yuk bekerja, bekerja, bekerja.
After she cleaned up the house and made it nice and spotless, Snow White cooked with the small kitchen utensils and had something to eat. In this small house, just like everything else, the beds were also tiny. But Snow White was so tired she almost fell asleep right where she was. She thought that no harm would come to her in this place and fell asleep on a couple of beds she put together. In the evening, the seven dwarfs who were the lovely owner of this beautiful home had arrived from working. In the mine, and as they entered, they was really surprised. The house was clean, plus it smelled of delicious food. Clumsy wanted some soup, but because of his clumsiness, he spilled it on the floor.
There is something fishy about all this. Who did all this work?
If I can get sleep, I'm sure I can find all the answers. Seven dwarfs quietly all went upstairs. When they entered the bedroom, they couldn't believe their eyes. There was the most beautiful girl they had ever seen, lying on their tiny beds. Hearing the sound, Snow White jumped up, brightened up from her sleep as she saw the 14 eyes of the seven dwarfs staring at her. Finally, with some hesitation, she said,
My name is Snow White. I'm really sorry if I have offended you. I meant no harm.
Well, we are sure of that. Otherwise, why would you clean up and cook for us? We are the seventh dwarf. This is Jolly. Angry, clumsy, slumpy, red, and me, Ash. And Duar! There he is, lazy.
Snow White was so happy that now she had 7 more fun friends. Snow White told them all about what had happened. The 7 dwarfs were really sad to hear what had happened. They asked her to stay with them.
One day, the queen asked the same question to her magic mirror.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
I'm sorry, but not you, my dear queen. Snow White is the fairest of the all.
But the queen thought that she was already dead. She did not know that the heart counterpart actually belonged to a deer, and decided to finish the job herself, and for good this time. It was her joyous morning in the seven dwarf house.
Do not forget our rule. If any stranger comes knocking on the door when we are not home, do not answer it.
Okie dokie, Ice. But you guys don't be late, okay?
While Snow White was preparing dinner, there was a knock on the door.
Who is it? Ice, it's you guys from outside?
An old woman spoke.
I mean no harm, my little girl. Open up, please. Oh, my dear beautiful girl. I am a poor old woman passing by. If you could give me a bowl of soup, I will be forever grateful.
Snow White took the old lady in and offered her a bowl of hot soup.
Thank you, my dear. I have no money, but I have the most delicious and brightest red apple for you.
Snow White curiously took a bite from the apple, and as soon as she did, she fainted and fell down on the floor. The old lady was no other than a disguised evil queen, and the apple was far from heaven, but full of bites. Even one bite was enough to put Snow White to sleep, from which she could never be able to wake up. When the seven dwarfs returned to home, they found Snow White lying on the floor. Ace found the apple with the bite mark.
The apple she ate must be poisonous. This must be the queen's doing.
The dwarf put her in a glass box made of the most precious gems, and they put her on a hilltop, where all her friends in the wood could see. One day, the prince came to the woods where Snow White was sleeping. Snow White's friends showed him the way and brought him next to the glass box where she was sleeping. The prince could not believe his eyes. The beautiful princess once saw a reflection on the river and kept seeing in his dreams was lying in front of him. He lifted the cover of the box and kissed the Snow White. Right after that moment, Snow White and the prince's dreams come true. Their love overcame the curse, and Snow White opened her eyes. At the same time, finding about all that happened to his daughter, the king broke the magic mirror and sent the queen as away from the castle as possible. Snow White finally returned to her castle and reunited with her father.
Thank you for your attention. We apologize if there are any mistakes in this video.